All right, this board's now at a recess, and we will continue to move forward. Mr. Dettenreiter, we'll let you go ahead and move forward. Hopefully we're back online now. And thank you guys in the IT department for working on this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Mark Dettenreiter, Director of Community Development. The second topic that we've been discussing in these work study sessions is having to do with possibly using a modifier for just the Group U category of building permits. Group U are accessory structures. Again, these affect the common citizen, like building a pole barn, a greenhouse, storage shed, etc. We have talked about considering a 25% reduction to this group only. It would reduce the price per square foot on the ICC table by 25%. Just to give you an example of just what figure that we're working with. So the current price per square foot for Group U, $66.48 on the current ICC table that we're using. That would lower that figure to $49.86 as an example. And then of course then you have to go through the calculations, but you're just doing those calculations with a different number. Any questions, comments on this topic?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of observations and questions. So when you adopt the table, would we, if let's say for example we adopted it today, would we not go to the August 2024? If every year going forward, every calendar year going forward, we're going to go back to August of the previous year. So if we were going to adopt today instead of going to February of 2025, would we not go to August of 2024?
Yes, you could certainly consider that for sure. If you just wanted, again, going from the 2022 August where we're currently at, you could go to the August 24, and then like we've discussed at the beginning of the year, you could set it up to where then you'd go to August 2025, et cetera. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then to Dallas's point about the budget, I feel this is a very targeted reduction in fees, very specific to one category, Category U. I think it's necessary, as the ICC table language says, not to use this data table. It is not intended to be used as an estimating guide for various reasons, that we should implement a, what'd you call it, a modifier. And it recommends doing that, and that's what we're looking to do with this process.
Yes.
So, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions on that?
Mr. Schroeder?
Okay, great, thank you. The third item has to do with another table, and this one's called the International Residential Code, the IRC permit fee table. We've talked about this, and then also applying a modifier like with the ICC table. Do the same with this one. Currently we're using formulas from an older Universal Building Code document. Very old document. The numbers on the permit fee schedule for this table have changed only slightly over the years. We could have you all consider moving to the 2024 IRC permit fee schedule. You could do that now, or not today, obviously, no decisions made, but when you get to that point to make a decision on January 1st of each year, you could do the same type of thing with this table. So as an example, in 2026, January 1, you move to the 2025 IRC permit fee schedule, but you could consider going to the 2024 now. And the second part of this, outside of the table and updating that, would be looking at that Group U category again and looking at that modifier, that 25% reduction. The example that I can provide, you've seen this before, When you look at the total valuation between $100,000 and $500,000, the current formula that we're using is $993.75 for the first 100,000, and then plus $5.60 for each additional 1,000 when you're looking at the valuation. And a 25% reduction, we just look at, apply it right to the formula itself. So instead of $993.75 for that first 100,000, it could be reduced down to $745.31. And then plus the additional per $1,000, that would go down to like a $4.20 figure. So that's just how that would work with that particular formula table. Any questions, comments on that?
Commissioner Buck, Commissioner Schroeder? No, sir.
Okay, great. And then at the last work session on April 1st, another topic was brought up. Commissioner Buck talked about the plan review fee itself. The way it currently is set up is it's 65% of the permit fee. That's the plan review fee. So there's 3 different components of the fees. And it's the building permit fee, plan review fee, and then the use tax. So if we were to consider applying a reduction on the plan review fee, again, just for Group U, the consideration there would be either 50% of the permit fee or 35%. So those 2 different scenarios is what came to mind from the building team on that. Again, it's currently 65% of the permit fee. The other jurisdictions that we studied, all but one applies the same formula for the permit fee or for the plan review fee. El Paso County actually has a smaller percentage. So this formula, if you will, is not set in stone. You can adjust that if you like. But if we were to consider that just for Group U, reducing that plan review fee, the example that we had back in one of our work study sessions for that pole barn, if you went 50% of the permit fee, that would be around $200 additional reduction. And then if you went up to the 35% of the permit fee, it would be close to $400. So that just gives you an example of what that impact would be on a given fee related to Group U only.
A question. Did you say that the other counties that you studied are at 65%?
Yes, yeah. So again, we looked at 7 other jurisdictions, 5 counties, 2 municipalities. All of them but one uses the same formula that we use for this category of our building permit fee, for that plan review fee, the 65%.
Gotcha. So that's, I think that's good. But one of the concerns was they had a $500 engineered plan, and they were charged $900 to review it. And the category U is simply accessory buildings, very easy to review. And the question from the citizen was, why am I paying $900 for the plan review fee when the plan only cost me $500 and it's a simple building? So that's kind of where that thought process came about. Do we need to look at that? To me, it's encouraging that some of the other counties or municipalities were using 65%, so we weren't really out of line, but it sure seems out of line when you're working on a project. But it's something to definitely consider.
Yes, sir, indeed. Thank you, Commissioner, for that. So, yeah, for that example that you just brought up, so back to that pole barn example that we've looked at, that scenario, the fee would be around $900. But if you were all to consider reducing that percent of the permit fee, it could go down to $700 or $500 as opposed to $900. That's portion.
So a quick follow-up question. On the other categories, not category U, let's say it's a more complex project. Is it also 65%?
Yes, it is. Yeah, across the board.
Across the board. So if you have a complex drawings and engineered plans and it's a huge project, it's 65% of the building permit fee. But if you have a shed, it's 65% of the building permit fee.
Yes, so,
Okay.
yeah, hence the look at that Group U category, right? That does affect, again, the average homeowner trying to do some work around the house.
And ideally, if we get them in line, and it doesn't seem excessive, because we may get more people pulling permits. And ideally, we get them on the books, we get them pulling permits, they think the amount is fair for the county, and fair to the citizen. The thought process, hopefully, we can get some more people pulling permits.
Yes, that could be a possible scenario with some type of adjustment.
Mr. Schroeder, any questions, sir? All right.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep going. Appreciate it. So the other category, line item, if you will, we looked at was it's a category called other permits. And here again, these impact the general public. This is like finishing a shop or finishing a basement. The suggestion here, based on the research, was do a straight reduction by line item. So you've seen this information before. So as an example, the current price per square foot for a basement finish after an original build, it's $141.84. What we've brought forward for you to consider is a flat number of $40 for that particular category under the other permits. So, all of the suggestions in that category, really, it's either $40 or $30 just flat rate, as opposed to the current setup to where it just differs by line item, and this would be a reduction. Questions, comments on other permits?
Yeah, I have another question for you, Mark.
Yeah.
So why do we differentiate, and I've asked you this before, why do we differentiate between, for example, interior residential remodel and a basement finish? It's still an interior residential remodel. Below grade, above grade, second story. Why are we differentiating between those two?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Commissioner. I'll lean on my building manager, Rob, to take that one. Thanks.
Good morning again, Commissioners. It's simply that something that was put in place before I was even employed here. We're trying to make sense of the numbers. The basement was already a much higher number, so we obviously lowered it quite a bit, considerably. So we figured if we keep that one in particular, it also has to do, I guess, with the valuation, is how I understood it. It's finishing the basement. It has a little bit different valuation compared to a remodel. That's how I understood it, but we can look into it more and get better answers for you. But with that reduction that we have is pretty great, the reduction compared to what we had. And I think to branch off of what he said when it comes to these reductions, I think it might be a minimal budget reduction, but it's going to be incredible for the community, the surrounding community, to do these permits with a much cheaper fee.
Yeah, it's a substantial reduction, but they all could be $40. We have one at 40, and then interior residential remodels at 30. They could all be 40. I'm not questioning the number per se. I just wanted to ask why we differentiate between the categories rather than simplifying it and saying, hey, if you want to do an interior remodel, we don't care if it's a basement, or not, or if it's unfinished basement in a new build or an unfinished basement after the original build. That's another distinction that we make in this process.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely dig into that further, without a doubt, and hopefully have a better answer for you later in time.
Okay, no problem.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Worcester?
Great, thank you. The next category is contractor licensing fees. So these fees were set by the Board of County Commissioners in January of 2024. The way it was set up at that time is any license that was secured in 2023 was going to be valid for 2024 as well. So we're in a staggered situation right now. So the suggestion from staff is to go back to just every year. It's easier to manage. The question, though, that we have on this one for you all, and we've talked about this again in work study sessions, but do you want to stick with the current fee structure? The licensing fees, they're between $100 and $125 for an annual registration. Any comments, questions on this topic?
Commissioner?
Yeah, this fee was originally pitched to us as a way to keep fly-by-night companies out of the county that came and collected money and didn't necessarily finish the business. Do we know what percentage of these contractor fees are from in-county residents or in-county businesses versus outside that we maybe were collecting or catching what we wanted to?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I don't have that off the top of my head. That's something we can dive into further. Rob, do you know that one by chance?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. No, I don't. I know when it was started, it was a lot of the roofs, all the hail damage and stuff. I think that's where that initially came from. But I do believe, from what I'm seeing, is the majority of these, I'd say at least half, I should say, is actually in Elbert County. There are a lot of outsiders, but I think the $100 fee a year is very minimal for what they make. I think it's a very reasonable fee. But as for percentage, we don't have that number yet.
Well, it wasn't, in my mind, intended to be a profit center. It was more of a check and balance on where it was. And that first year, our amount of fees we collected was eye-opening, and that's why we extended those again. I would certainly be in favor of cutting that in half. Any fee that we collect or that we collect from a collector, a business like that, just automatically gets passed on to the end user. And yes, it's minimal, but anything we can do to make it easier on folks, I'm in favor of.
Good. Commissioner Buck?
Well, we've already discussed this. We're going to have to agree to disagree. I think it's a nominal fee, $100 annually for a roofing company to work in Elbert County. We're going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Okay, next.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen, for the comments. Then really, take this all together and how would this affect the budget? If we, looked at that, again, just the Group U and applied a 25% modifier. We looked at Q4 of last year and just applied the numbers to see how that would reflect. We could see a reduction of approximately $140,000 this year if you went that route on that Group U modifier. It would be about a 40% reduction in the fees to the consumer for these types of permits. Next, we are considering, the other permit fees. Same situation, just called up the Q4 2024 numbers and then annualized it just to get an idea of where, what these reductions could look like. For the other permits, that would be about $125K reduction, and then that would be approximately 70% savings to the applicant for this particular category of permits. So in total, about $265,000 reduction. When you look at the budget figures for the building department, right now for 2025, the expenses are at about $1.5 million was the projection. The fees that we had in the budget would be about $2.6 million. So there's over $1 million possible in terms of additional revenues. And of course, if you were to make all of these permit fee adjustments that we've talked about, that would be again about that $265,000 less. We are adding more staff in the department. We're gradually moving away from contract services, so it's possible that we could save about $200,000 or so by year end. But again, as was discussed earlier, we are seeing a slowdown in building permits this year so far. So that is something that you all will have to take into account as well.
So I have a question. So are you saying that once we move away, as you just mentioned there, basically it'll be about a wash? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be just with, just department savings, and then if you have, this less revenue on any type of building permit fee reduction. So could be somewhat of a wash there, but then again, if we track further into the year where we're at right now after Q1 of 2025, looking at the building permit fees and our reduction, we're close to $100,000 behind what our projection it was for Q1 of this year, and then run that out. Then again, that could be up close to $400K. But the overall, we still, the starting point was we were expecting to have about a million additional revenues to work with. So if you kind of take it all together, maybe if all these things were done and we still stayed on track with the economic trending we're seeing at the moment, maybe we're to the good of about 400,000.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions?
Yeah, a couple real quick comments. Consumer use tax. We've talked a little bit. I'd like you to speak to that on how we are giving the citizens a little more information. I think in our last discussion, some things had come up, and you guys are trying to inform the citizens on how that consumer use tax works. If you could speak to that real quick, that'd be great.
Yes, you bet. Thanks for the question, Commissioner. I'll have Rob address that. Thank you.
Hello again. The use tax is actually, once I learned about it, it's actually pretty simple. You have one of two options. You can come in and get your permit first, and then you pay your use tax here. And then once you have that permit and paperwork available, you can go to the place to buy the material, the store, and provide that information, and then you would not pay the use tax there. Or you could go a different route, buy your material, pay the use tax, come here, pay the use tax again, then you would have to go back to get your refund. All this information was originally provided by the state, but talking with a few other employees, we can possibly put something on the website to provide the information from ourselves. So hopefully we can give that.
If someone comes in person and gets and speaks with the department, is there one sheet of paper that you can give them that kind of explains that, so we can get that into their hands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's, definitely some information we can provide them, without a doubt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. So yeah, we're actually at present looking at the website, the building department page, and going to just break out fees further for the public, just general explanations. And the use tax will be one of those categories where we'll provide that. So stand by and stay tuned for that update.
Perfect. Perfect.
Anything else, sir?
That's all we have. Appreciate your time, gentlemen, and we look forward to coming back to another public hearing and see if you all would like to make a decision at a near meeting here in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, before I move to public comments, Commissioners, do you have, Commissioner Schroeder, any other questions, sir? Commissioner Bullock?
Hey, for a future meeting, can you break down that contractor licensing fee for us on what impact that might have as a line item if we reduced it?
Yes, yeah, just offhand, based on the number of actual contractor licensing fee or contractor licenses that we have. We've ran that number before, and off the top of my head, if we were to reduce that by 50%, let's say, so instead of $125 or $100 for a fee, bring that down to $50 or $60, It's about I think we could bring in close to 60,000, so just take that in half. So it's approximately a $30,000 reduction.
Okay, thanks.
You bet.
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments? All right. Seeing that, I will close public comment. Next item on the agenda is discussion of resolution regarding the update on the fire district inclusion coverage and fee in lieu of inclusion. And I'll turn this over to Attorney Bart Grimm.
Thank you, Chairman. This is an update to something that is already in effect. There's very minimal spaces, but we do have them in the county, something that's colloquially referred to as no man's land. These are areas that are not covered by any particular fire district, whether that's, fully staffed department that receives Mills has its full-time staff like Rattlesnake or Elizabeth, that sort of thing. But we're also talking about areas that are not being covered by these fire districts, but they're also not being taxed with respect to the mills associated with the fire district. There are still fires that occur in these areas. Fires districts still respond to these fires, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because ultimately fires will spread most likely to an area that is covered by that particular fire district as well. So it's been of particular concern for fire districts, and we started working on this quite a few years back. And what this does is it provides a pathway for these folks that are in these non-inclusion zones as far as service areas for fire districts to either join the fire district, or if they are going to be building residential structures, to go ahead and pay this fee instead of joining and paying the mills associated with joining that fire district. Really, the only change between this and what was previously approved is the fee that was approved previously has been adjusted for what inflation has been over the last several years since it's last been updated. That's essentially the only update. So my recommendation is approval as this simply updates the fee to reflect roughly the same amount of when this was previously approved.
Okay, sir. Commissioner Buck, do you have any questions? No. Commissioner Schroeder? All right, with that, I'll ask, are there any public comments? Hello again.
Hi, Susan Murphy, County Assessor. So Bart, is this fee that they're going to pay for the fire district a one-time fee or an annual fee?
No, it's a one-time. Right now, honestly, nobody has paid the fee. Everybody has actually joined the fire district, but it's anticipated to be a one-time fee unless there is a fire, which stays just in that one little area and consumes that entire fee. Then that fee would have to be replenished by that property owner.
Okay.
But as I said, right now, nobody has taken us up on that offer. Everybody has opted to join the fire district.
That's good news.
So
I'm happy to hear that. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comments. Right, next item on the agenda is action items, consideration of April 9th, 2025 minutes. I ask for a motion.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the April 9th, 2025 minutes and dispense with the reading.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Next item is the consideration of the updates to the fleet management policy. And I ask commissioners if there are any additional discussions or questions on this item.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, Commissioner. Generally, we have things on discussion, and the next meeting they go to action unless there's a clear urgency. I don't know that we've had enough time for the citizens to evaluate this policy to make comment on it. So in the interest of transparency, I will vote no, not that I'm opposed to the policy, but I'm opposed to moving it to action upon secondary reflection.
Okay. Commissioner Buck?
Is that a motion to,
No, that was a
Postpone
comment.
or?
That was, yeah, if we want that mode, I'll move that we take this up at our next Board of County Commissioner meeting and put it on action item at that time.
a second?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next item here we have is the Board of Health, quarterly Board of Health presentation. Okay, so we need a motion to open this presentation for the Board of Health.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we open as the Board of Health at this time.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good morning.
Good
Been
morning.
waiting a long time.
Give me just a second
Yep.
while I get my slides up, and then I will get started.
Well, you've been waiting on us all morning, so we can wait a few minutes.
Not sure how to get my notes to show up, so I'm just going to start as it is. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Sarah McIntosh. I am the Public Health Director for Elbert County, and this is our first quarter Board of Health updates for the first quarter of 2025. Kind of our quick agenda. I have some staffing updates to go over with everybody, and some program updates where you'll hear from myself, my environmental health specialist, Marissa Ginger, and my health educator, Lisa Healthseth. I also have updates on vital records and health promotion, and then how to report a concern and some question and answer time. First of all, our staff that we have with the Public Health Department, as I said, my name is Sarah McIntosh. I am the Public Health Director. Marissa is our environmental health specialist, and Lisa, our health educator. Iris is our administrative assistant, who most people will encounter when they call our department. And our finance and grant manager, Teresa Klaus, has transitioned to a contracted employee for us and is now full-time with Human Services. So she is continuing to manage our finances, but on a fee basis. With the funds generated from transitioning her from being a 50-50 employee to being just an hourly billed employee, I would hope that we can look to use some of those funds to hire a medical biller or coder that would work one day a week to help with some of our clinic revenue, help tighten up some of those losses with insurance companies, make sure our billing and coding is in line with what we can be recouping for those services. We also have 2 nurse practitioners. Lori Coring is our pediatric nurse practitioner. She's there on Mondays. And Dawn Newbury is our family nurse practitioner. And she is now with us on Tuesdays and Wednesdays every week. The other change to our staffing is we have finalized a contract with Dr. Marvin Couch, who lives in Fort Collins. He is contracted with us as our medical officer. So we utilize him if we need any consult services, and he provides orders for us and emergency services. And then we also have 2 per diem EHS employees that can help step in if Marissa needs a vacation or has to go out on trainings. Updates on the clinic, we are still continuing to offer services in our clinic, pediatric, adolescent, adult, and senior care visits, well care, preventative care, as well as sick visits. And we work with lab draws as well from outside providers. So we are contracted with both LabCorp and Quest and offer blood draw services for clients as well. Here is our general clinic revenue trended by, I showed you last year every quarter, and then I showed you, I think, the totals for 2023 on that one as well to kind of break it out as to where we are as far as total appointments, whether it's pediatric and adult visits, immunizations that we've given, respiratory fit tests, which is something that we offer to local businesses if they need to do mask testing to make sure that they're fitting and appropriately filtering out what they're supposed to. Drug tests primarily are for the county, but we do offer those for outside businesses, including additional towns, town of Elizabeth, town of Simla, town of Kiowa. And this kind of shows you an overall trend. The first number you see in 2022 in December, the tiny green bar on the far right, is when we first opened the clinic and started bringing services up. So we're seeing our visits trending up as expected as we build our service platforms. And I will introduce Marissa Ginger to take over and give you an update on OWTS and retail food.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Marissa Ginger, Environmental Health Specialist. Here we have the number of permits that we've issued for the first quarter. I would say that we are trending as should be. I think that there's another slide comparison. Oh, it doesn't break it down by quarter. Okay, no worries. We're up 38 permits this year as compared to last first quarter. Here is the number of inspections that I've done for the first quarter. This is OWTS inspections. Obviously in the winter it is a lot harder to dig. The ground is frozen, but surprisingly January was quite busy for me. So I think that just with our winter weather, it hasn't been too bad this winter, so we've been doing good. This is our food license revenue. So retail food licenses are issued for any establishment that sells food. So that's convenience stores, grocery stores, restaurants, food trucks, coffee shops. Most of the revenue for the year is generated in December for 2025. The establishment's licenses are due every calendar year, so most of them get paid in December. Mobile units do have until April to make their payment, as they're often not operating in the winter. So, trending pretty good and the same as last year. Oops.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So on the last slide,
Yes.
so you had 23 to 24, you had a big increase. What was that?
So the way that we were tracking the revenue previous years to 2024, we did not have Teresa, our finance manager. So when I was tracking the revenue, I was only accounting for the month of January, February, March. I was not including December. So when Teresa took over, she was like, even though we received payment in December, that is actually going towards the next year's revenue. So I was not tracking it correctly. So we're very grateful that we have Teresa now. So yes, it does look like we had a big increase, but that is just because those December payments weren't included in.
Just a different way of reporting it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, wait. Sorry, I'm going backwards now. Okay. So those were our, how we're tracking. The next thing that we wanted to discuss is the state is implementing new regulation changes for OWTS. So along with the regulation changes, I also wanted to propose a fee increase in our septic permit fees. A little bit about the Regulation 43 changes. It's voted on by a group of stakeholders. They've been going through this process for about 2 years. The state implements the changes, and then the counties have up to 1 year to enforce them. The changes will be rolled out June 15th, 2025, and then we will have a year to begin enforcing them. Along with the changes, there are certain ones that counties can opt in and opt out of, and then there are mandatory changes that are just across the board for the program. So there will be more details to come at the next Board of Health meeting regarding specific changes, and then the various ones that we can opt in and opt out of. Here are a couple of the subgroup topics that were discussed. A lot of these changes will not be affecting the public as much as it will be the contractors. The contractors will be required to learn these new rules, follow them, and abide by them. It may increase some of the fees for the homeowners and customers, but as far as big changes that they're going to see, it's just going to be on the back end. And yes, we will go into more detail about those at the next Board of Health meeting. What we would like to propose as our department is a increase on 4 of the 6 permit fees that we have. We have not increased our fees since 2013. They've been the same across the board ever since we implemented the use permit program. Our revenue has been trending down over the past couple years. I can attribute that to inflation, the cost of material, and just how expensive it is to build homes. So I just think a lot of people may not be building as much. And then also the amount of subdivisions that are coming in. These big neighborhoods and subdivisions, they are obviously on municipal water and sewer. They're not on septic systems. So with our proposed fee increases, we would like to implement a new program that is public facing for contractors, pumping companies, homeowners, real estate agents to be able to look up their own septic maps as opposed to calling or emailing the department. Right now, they do have to email us and we have to look up the file for them and send it to them via email, or they can come into our office. I would say we get probably 15 to 20 emails and or phone calls a day. So if we were to have a public facing program that they could just jump on, locate their own map themselves, I think it would help us utilize our time better. And not to mention, most every county does have a program that allows the public to do that. Here are the proposed fee increases. We are not jumping up anything too crazy. The new system, which is new construction for a new home or adding another system on a property to serve like an additional dwelling unit, is currently $973. I would like to increase it to $1,000 flat, just $27 increase. The tank and fields permit, so that is if tank and field is failed and needs replaced, increase it by $100 up to $600. The fields permit, I would like to increase up to $400, so it is a $150 increase. The reason I am increasing that one by $150 is because I can actually design the fields depending on what the soils are. If you don't have good soils, then it will have to be designed by an engineer, but that is something that the county has offered to do, is design gravity-fed systems for the public free of charge. So just to make up for a little bit of the time that I do use on designing those systems, increase that fee a little bit more. Tank permit, I would increase to $300. There was a re-inspection fee that was previously charged, but we've just decided to remove that. And then alteration permits are issued for line repairs, just more minor generic exposing of lines, removing bellies. I didn't feel the need to increase that by any means. And then the use permit fee is the permit that is required for people to obtain when they're selling their home. So again, it's not very labor intensive for me to issue that use permit. they have a third-party company go out and assess the system. I review that report and issue the permit. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll ask a quick question. So if the fees haven't been increased since 2013, it's a very long time. We talk about budget, we talk about everything so expensive. The new system increase of $27 is nominal for sure. Any thought behind that of at least, I'm not saying it becomes a profit center for us, but I would like to at least keep up with the rate of inflation or close to the rate of inflation.
Yeah, I think that my reasoning behind it was not wanting to ask for too much starting out. But then again, we did have the conversation of, well, we're making a change now, maybe discuss not making another change, because the last thing we want to do is next year be like, oh, hey, we want to bump it up again. So, and the reasoning, I just went with a flat $1,000. I can bring up a comparison with other counties. Most of them are between the $975 and $1,025 range for new systems. So I just figured I would go in the middle. And this next slide here does show where we fall in relation to other counties. So we are at the very low end.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions for me?
Oh, I had emailed Sarah a couple questions, and she answered those for me. Part of it had to do with the fees, and if with our current fund balance in public health, if we could do what we wanted to do with the software tracking without increasing fees. And so I guess that's where we're at. Do we know where the question arises in my mind? Do we know how much extra money will be raised roughly? We've done the analysis on how much extra money that would be there.
I did not go into that, but I can definitely play with some numbers and get some numbers back to you on how much it would increase our revenue.
It seems if that's our target of what we're looking to do with the extra revenue, we want to make that in line with what we're doing with the,
Sure that we have
the increase. And keeping in mind, we do have fund balance, so.
Yeah.
Any increase we end up, it's not just the contract, it always ends up at the end user, so I'm very conscious of that. But thank you, good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lisa will be next.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lisa Helseth, health educator. I'm just going to provide a couple of updates regarding vital records, health promotions, and, oh, sorry, space? Yeah, okay, sorry. And vital record, quarterly blood drive updates as well on that. So for Q1 of 2025, vital records, as you can see, we did a total of 59 issuance with a revenue of $1,089 for 2025 first quarter. Health promotion updates that we are currently working with, or on, I should say. Mental health collaboration with CSU Extension Center. They have a collaborative called Colorado National Collaborative. We are part of the Northeast Region 5, which is Cheyenne, Elbert, Kit Carson, and Lincoln counties. The work on this is really about reduction of suicide, suicide prevention, and working with our community. I can tell you in 2023, we had 11 suicides, in which 7 of those were by firearms. In 2024, we also had 11 suicides, and again, 9 of those were by lethal means, firearms. So we're really trying to work with our community to bring awareness and provide resources. In this current collaborative, there's a lot of discussion about bringing in training for different companies, firefighters, law enforcement. I know that we've had a couple of trainings done with Elbert Christian Church, which has been very productive. So we're just extending that as well. We're trying to do a further reach, I think. So the goal of this project, which is only 7 months, so we're working very hard and furiously to get some information out to our community. But we're trying to reduce suicide deaths and non-fatal suicide attempts among our Elbert County community. Any questions there? Okay, perfect. Also, I've been doing a lot of community outreach, working with the Pines and Plains Library. They've been having a coffee chat and then also a community conversation once a month. And I've been making some really good progress going out and meeting our community members where they are doing other things. So a lot of discussion about resilient kids in our community, and we talked about public health in March. So different topics, and you find a lot of people that I wouldn't normally run into. They're not going to come talk to me at the public health department. And I even ran into a gentleman that I'm trying to recruit for emergency management volunteering. So you never know who you're going to find when you attend these kind of events. So it's been very helpful. And then last, quarterly blood drive totals. In April, we had 16 scheduled appointments, but we actually had 18 units donated. So we had 3 people do what they call the Power Red, which is actually donating 2 units in one sitting. So that was very helpful. We had 2 new first-time donors. I'm pretty sure both of them were from the county, so thank you. And we're steadily at the same numbers. So I'd like to see that bump up a little more if we could, and it's just about marketing and sharing that information with the community. Talent is very helpful coming out here and meeting us at the fairgrounds rather than having our community members go into town, Parker, wherever. So we really appreciate that as well. And our next blood drive will be Wednesday, July 9th. They're always here from 10 to 2 at the Ag Building at the fairgrounds. And appointments are not necessary. We do recommend it just in case there's a wait, but we accept walk-ins as well.
What time is that again?
10 to 2, July 9th at the Ag Building. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. A couple closing things. I just wanted to remind the community about the Report of Concern link on the Elbert County website. If you have any questions, concerns regarding unsafe food practices that you're seeing, sewage, wastewater discharge at properties, or unpermitted OWTS systems, please feel free to report a concern there. Know that it is not anonymous. It usually does ask for your name and number, so if you do have an anonymous complaint, you certainly could call us at the health department as well, so that it's not recorded. And also an update, just I know it's been on people's minds with the measles cases increasing in this region and having had 3 cases in the state of Colorado to date. If anybody has questions, concerns about potential exposures, what they can do for prevention, or if they're symptomatic or concerned they might have it, please feel free to give us a call and we can help provide guidance as far as that goes as well. And then there's my contact information if you'd like to reach out to me directly, and questions and answers for anybody.
Thank you for everything. Unrelated to what you've presented today.
Yes.
We're supposed to take classes to be certified. Where are we standing with those?
So I sent the contact links to you guys. Okay. You have a couple different options. I can either help arrange the Board of Health trainings for you guys and bring someone either out here, we can facilitate doing it together as a training, or there's a system you can log into to do it online at your own time. So whatever is the best system for you guys, just let me know and I can help facilitate that, whether that's getting you signed up and doing it when it's convenient for you or bringing something to you guys.
I apologize for missing that.
You're fine.
But I found the online to be very convenient option last time.
Okay.
So I'll go back and look at that, that option. And is there a deadline on when we have to have that completed?
they say by the end of the year, but the sooner you could do it, the better. Just kind of get it out of the way. And again, like I said, if you have any trouble with the online system, I'm happy to come over and help walk you through it. All the training courses are through CoTrain, which is the Colorado education platform that's all online. Like I said, that typically is what I find the easiest as well, but it's what's convenient for you guys.
Yeah, I think it is, but I guess we'll talk about it, but I appreciate the information.
Absolutely. Any other questions, Chairman McDaniels or Buck?
No.
No?
No, thank you very much.
You are very
Great
welcome.
job, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll accept a motion to close the Board of Health portion of this meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move we close this Board of Health.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is board planning, and there are no upcoming items. This time I'm calling for a recess at 10:51 a.m. We will return at 1 p.m. for our land use hearings. Thank you. We need a motion on